Hello guys, welcome back to another Geometry Dash review episode. So I'm picking the series back up after finishing Twilight, and the videos will be a bit differently structured. They'll be structured more like Moffer's level review series, so I can do more levels per video. So I will be reviewing 3 different levels per video from now on. And we are starting with Roundabout by Bogostick GD. So this, I believe, is a memory demon, so I might have to look at this in the editor. I'm noticing that there are quite a lot of pulses here. I'm guessing these are all on spawn trigger. Oh, it's just for this text, okay. So these pulses in the blocks are spawn triggered. First of all, I want to talk about the colors. These colors, I don't think they go along very well. Like the deep blue and the light pinkish red. My suggestion is either probably to lighten up this blue slightly, like that, and to maybe change the red to like a bit of a different color. You can just play around with these colors until they look decent. A better color choice. It's a bit nicer on the eyes. Also, the background sort of like fades into like a weirdish yellow color. So maybe what you could do is I recommend. Actually, I see what you're doing here. So the background gradually gets lighter. If you do that, like the middle parts of like the change from black to yellow, the colors will get a little bit murky, and I don't think that goes along with the style of like the bright blocks very well. I would say that either change the background color so the in between color is not like this weird yellow brown color, or to just keep the background black and add like a blending screen like you have at the top. And also, what you could do, this is color channel 3, I'm going to make color channel 3 black blending, so it appears invisible. And then what you could do is you can pulse color channel 3 different colors, like this light blue, then you see it pops up there. You can also like change the opacity if it's like too bright, so like right now it's a bit bright, so I can change the opacity to 50. Now it's less bright, and this will like add a tint to the level. I'm also noticing that this blending screen does not move down, so I'm guessing this is for the second part then. So maybe what you could also do is copy and paste that and add it to the first part as well, because I think that would also look pretty cool for the first part, mainly because you have this blending glow at the bottom, which is on the same color. So now the pulses have like more impact. You can add like more pulses, changing it to like different variations of the blue, maybe even dabbling in some like purple colors. And of course these do not sync, but I just want to give like an idea of what you could do to sort of spice this up a bit more. I'm noticing that these also pulse different colors. Color channel 2, oh well. Yeah, so I just recommend pulsing these little pillars different colors. Other than this like weird pinkish red, the pulsing blocks look decent. Maybe you like for every other beat they could pulse like a different block. Like for instance, right now this block is pulsing for this beat, and then the next beat maybe this block can pulse, and it will like go back and forth. These little pillars back here have like parallax, but it looks kind of janky right now, cause the movement is so like small that it's like pixelated. Like it's not smooth. That might be the intention though, cause the song is sort of like pixely, so I would get that vibe. So where's the move trigger for 66? Maybe it's below the ground. Group 466. Oh, looks like the pixely movement is intended. So maybe just like slightly amplify this, or even make it move like block to block with like a slower delay, like that. I can't really comment on the gameplay since it's memory, and I don't want to show my bias. But I'm not a huge fan of memory. This part could also use a bit more of a background. So now it was like a yellowish tint, which is not, honestly, it's not that interesting for a background. So maybe a custom background would be nice, or even one of these default backgrounds that could pulse, like just at least pulse a little bit. That looks a little bit better. Also, I think I get the vibe that you're trying to go for like a super probably level theme by Alkali with the memory and the very simple designs. But in my opinion, like to sort of go off the aesthetic of a level like super probably level, you're gonna have to like spice a couple things up. Like the block design, like make it a little bit more complex. Like maybe a little bit of glow could go quite a long way. Like just some blending glow, just like that, as well with the spikes. Just something small like that. Maybe some like pulsing objects, maybe an outline if I can actually find that tab. Just It's just like the little details that's kind of what makes your level stand out. And it doesn't have to be too complex. It can still keep like with the simple vibes, but make sure to like spice it up just a little bit because it's already been done before by super probably level. Also, maybe like add some like texture to this block, like these bricks on really low opacity. Just something like that would go quite a long way. Also, us talking more about color choices, to give the structures like more variety, you could also like select a couple structures and like change the hue slightly. So like maybe just like increments of 30 or something like similar to that. Just give it a bit more variety. See that this is going quite a long way. Also, you can do the same thing with like the pillars. Yeah, like that, see? And then you can also maybe experiment with some like block movements and rotations. Maybe not bounce out, because that seems a bit too chaotic for this part. Also, rotations can also help quite a bit. There we go. And you might notice it looks a little bit weird because these outline blocks that I added earlier don't really rotate. So to fix that, we can use these outline blocks that actually can rotate, unlike these ones. See? So to make these look almost identical, you can just copy and paste just like that. And now it looks exactly the same, just like that. Now it should rotate. Also, you might want to hide this as well. So I'm assuming group 1 is your, yeah. Okay, good. So I think that does it for the first part. So with this, let's just see the transition. Okay, that's actually a pretty good transition. It is a bit sudden though, so I'd say just to smooth it out, maybe what you could do is, this might be going out on a bit of a limb here, but you could move, and if you're feeling up for it, this really depends on the creator, but if you want to do something like this, where the level sort of closes in on the player for a transition, that could look pretty cool. It might take some time to do, but in my opinion, it would be worth it. And notice how I just moved the visuals, not the actual hitboxes. That is to make the hitboxes stay consistent. So groups, when you pass the ball portal, group 71 will move up by 50. Exponential out is usually my go-to easing, and I usually do it with a 2-second time, but since this is a transition, it has to be quicker, so the player can get adjusted easier. Then 72 will move down, so now it kind of closes in on you. And also, yeah, see? And also, to make this a bit more readable, what you could do is add some invisible blocks, like the fading out blocks to where the blocks would be, like this. Also, maybe give them like a little bit of structure, just to like spice it up just a little bit, I guess. Just something simple like that. Then I can add in the spike outlines, just like that. I don't think there are actually any spikes right there. Yep, and that works, I'd say. I don't really have really that much to complain about this part, except for going a bit too long, I'd say, with like no really visual changes. It's like maybe halfway through the part, you could like change the hues of the blocks. Maybe add in some glow, some circular objects, just to spice it up slightly. Even some pulses or some saw blades would be pretty nice. So that's kind of it for this part. Okay, now with this ship part, I actually really like this idea. And the blending screen that we put is back, it looks like. So we can re-add these pulses from before. Oh, it's the same one. Okay. Then that works. But maybe what you could also do is maybe put some portals off to the sides like these, so you don't know like which one to hit. Also maybe put these like on maybe half opacity like that. Also, maybe if you do not like that idea, maybe just put it like behind the portals like that. Also, maybe even pulse these arrows. So if I add these to like 74, 75, and continue to do this for all of the arrows. Now if I say pulse, group 74 white, for that, then 75, 76, 77, 78, and 79. Now if I rotate these pulse triggers like that, they're going to pulse at different times, like that. And then I can speed it up, add some more pulses. Yeah, like that. Also, like I said before, maybe you could increment the hues by like 10, just to change up the colors a little bit, just like that. There's not really that much to say about this part either, other than maybe making like a custom background. Maybe like do the sort of common trope of the question marks. Maybe have like a black glow behind the question marks to sort of make them pop out like that. It's just the little things that make big differences. I think that's all for that part. The only feedback I'd give for this part is basically the same thing that I did for this part. Just to spice it up halfway through, like maybe right here, like add some pulses and color changes. Also a blending screen. I think, yeah, you already have one. It's already pulsing. And I do like this little rotating overlay that you have here. That's pretty cool. So it shows me that you can do rotations. And if you want to go back and polish up this level, you could also add rotations to these blocks like how I showed earlier. This part seems pretty empty, so maybe add these arrows back. Some question marks would help, I'd say. Just to add more details to the blocks. I know that the point is to have the blocks like all look the same for the memory aspect, but maybe just slightly differentiate them. Just like the very slightest details, like even some minor glow could help. Just like that for like all the blocks, or every other block. Then every other block could have like a dark glow, or just something like that. That could help quite a bit. There's not really that much else to say, except maybe on the beats you could add some glow pyramid or some glow pillars that pulse as you go by them with like different rotations. Just have that like repeat, I guess. Just sort of like that. Also make sure to build helper these. And if you don't know what build helper is, it just adds new groups. So if I select the alpha triggers and the glow pillar, press build helper, now they're group 81, and now it pulses at a different time. So if I just select these, that, press build helper, now it adds it to group 82. Yep. Also, I don't know if it has it here, but I really liked this little bottom glow here from before that would like lock onto the player. So maybe you could also have it here in this part, put that on T2 so it's in front. Maybe also on the top as well. I usually don't like text in levels, but I think this is fine. Sorry. One more thing, just to give you an idea of like how to spice up this second half. Maybe with these rotating objects, yeah, like that. And if we press edit special, you can change the rotation speed. So I'm gonna change it to like maybe 350. I'm gonna really scale this up. And if you don't have hacks, you don't have to do this. You can put in these rotating blocks, and that would definitely help to make it better if I turn on no clip. Okay. And here's what spinning blocks are. Maybe spin them a bit slower than I have, because that does not look great at the moment. So I find this transition a little bit janky, not gonna lie. So if I just slow this down, 0.3 speed, pause for whatever reason. But here's the transition now. It looks a little bit smoother. For this transition, what I did, I just continued the rotation of the cube portal and the movement. And when the cube hits this teleportation portal and goes down here, I moved the cube portal along with it, so it's more flowy, I guess, not as rigid. Now, I believe this is the last part of the level, so not a huge fan of this. So maybe just toggle these off, so just toggle 14 off, I guess. Do that, or you can just set the black parts to T1, that includes the spikes, or T3, so it's just above the glow. Yes, now the blending screen does not affect it. I do like the gameplay concept though. It's actually pretty cool. It's like the corridor, but it has the gimmick of also being memory. What you could do is make these orbs, just to like add to it, maybe have these orbs change. You can see sort of like transitions, and to make sure that the cube only can hit the blue orb, you can just not toggle it off. Have an invisible blue orb that does not toggle off. If you have scale hack, that's great. You can scale the fake orbs to -1 scale, so you physically can't hit them. Well, I mean, you still can hit them because the hitboxes are still there, but they're just incredibly small. Then also, when you hit the orbs, the glow beams earlier, these things that pulse, could also show up. And also, what you could do, you can also bring some particles into the level, like this, have it on black group, or black color channel. And these will just spin on their own. I use them quite a bit. They're pretty dandy. Also, to tie it back to the other parts, you can also use like these rotating objects. Just maybe not that color. Maybe something like that. Of course rotate them slower like how I mentioned. I think that looks pretty decent. Also, like I've been saying, maybe to spice the colors, you can do like slight hue changes like that for some of the pillars. Other than that, I'd say this is good. One thing, so I don't really like how some people portal stack. Even like really good creators still do this. It kind of annoys me slightly because it makes the level a little bit less sight readable. So what you can do is you can scale one of the portals down and move it slightly in front. So now you can clearly see that this is a mini portal and a ship. And before, you can't really tell that there's a mini portal here. So that kind of does it for this level. Level that we have here is Submerged by Nsheyld. But I've already played this. I've already showcased this on my channel. But there is still a couple things that I would like to see. I'm just going to do a quick playthrough of this and give you my thoughts. So I don't like the huge scaled up things, like that saw. If I just go back a little bit. I don't know why I enabled speed hack. I don't like the huge scaled up saw. It does look cool, but it's a bit too grainy. So maybe just make your own custom saw blade. An example of custom saw blade is in my upcoming solo. You can see that I made my own custom saw blades. They're big and they're not grainy. So these can help if you copy and paste and make it fully white. I say that can help for your case. This is for the gameplay. So for gameplay, because I can actually play this, I don't like the hitboxes at all, because you can still bump into the corners like that. It's very off-putting. So I recommend putting that one's fixed, but not really that fixed. So maybe just put hitboxes right there, on the corners, or just make the block hitbox smaller. That could also. Not too many complaints about the gameplay. That's a pretty cool transition. These color combos, I don't like them that much, and I think that's mainly because of the really grainy glow in the foreground. You can see the pixels pretty clearly, and I do not like that very much. Also, maybe make it a deeper red for the spiral thing in the background, and make it also spin faster. For the saw blades and the block design, they're just basic blocks, so maybe just add a little, just tiny bit of detail to them, like how I did with the last level. Just a tiny bit of detail, because I don't think the invisible blocks add that much. Also, maybe add some internal things into the saw blades, something just in the center, just to give them more complexity. And also, I really like this little circle that blows up, kind of. Not blows up, but yeah, like that. I really have no complaints about this wave part, other than to make it just doesn't look great with all of the empty space at the bottom, because these aren't even, well, they do pulse, just not very brightly. It's just a lot of blank space. The background looks cool, of course, because it was inspired by Woolsey. See, here. These saw blades have good complexity, and they also look pretty cool. Maybe just apply just something about these saws into the earlier part with the really basic saws. I think that could help. Movement could definitely help with these really static slopes here, or just some pulses. That transition is very cool, but the only problem that I have with this is the gameplay, because you can just spam right through this. It's very easy. I have no critiques about this part, except for the saw blades being very sudden. So just move them earlier. That's all I'd say. This ball part, pretty much straight from Able, minus the rotations, but that's fine. Pretty much no critiques with this part. Maybe add a bit of a foreground, I guess. That's kind of it. I like this little masking effect here. That transition is a bit empty though. This dash orb. Maybe add some air deco, some arrows. Maybe even tighten up these saw blades a little bit on the side. Those two, or those four. Just make it a little bit more interesting. I think that's kind of all the critiques I have for this level. This was originally made for the Discord Gauntlet contest, but I think that they dropped it because the deadline but then the deadline was moved quite a bit. Next level is Fire Circles by TheCalebPlays, and I cannot play this one. Take a look at this in the editor, and 74,000 objects. I do not believe this has to be 74,000 objects. This last part lags. What? Optimization. This last part has 33,000 objects. So maybe like slightly optimize it, because there's no way this has to be that many objects. And I think it might be due to the spikes. There's quite a bit of spikes, and there's 7 spikes per spike design. Also, these little blocks, I can't even tell that those blocks are even there. So maybe just delete those. The outlines are fine. I'm not that great with optimization, so I don't think I can really give any tips on that. Yeah, I already cut it down by 10,000 objects. Let's talk about the colors, because the colors are my main gripe with the level. So these colors, they're not that good, to be honest. The blue is like really murky. I don't know really how to feel about it. Also, this does not appear to be doing anything. Yeah, so it's completely reliant on pulses. I'm not a huge fan of that, and so I can't really make any changes. I guess just like play around with colors. They're okay, but they could be a lot better, I feel. I don't know if this goes on blending. It is not on blending. What blending does, blending makes things so much better if you are working with glow. It just sort of makes things brighter. For one, colors are a huge thing in this level. These solid blades are not great. They could be a lowered opacity or just outright deleted as well. I don't feel like they add too much. Also, a change in background would be nice. Like with it, this part looks cool. Again, the colors are not the greatest. So yeah, it's mainly the colors that I don't like, which I can't really change because it's reliant on all these pulses. So like I was saying about the background stays the same throughout this entire thing. So maybe like halfway through the level, change it up just a little bit. That's all I gotta say about the wave part. Also, these clusters of saw blades do not look very good. I'm being honest here. So maybe you can just delete a couple of them and instead have like a couple of big ones. If I scale hack those, and if you don't have scale hack, like I said before, you can make your own custom like big saw blades. You can see that looks better from what there was earlier. The block design is incredibly basic. Yeah, it's just these default blocks. They can definitely have some structuring, some glow, and they're also off grid. I don't recommend putting blocks off grid, and they can also use some outlines because they are actually quite hard to see because of the background. So you could add these like white outlines block just so you can see them. And let's talk about the beginning as well. The beginning suffers from the same problems as the wave. The colors, and I can't really change them either because it's reliant on pulses. Okay, so you added movements. Okay, so that's a good step. For these movements, I recommend you increase the time, like maybe 1.5 bounce out. Move those back. Play that again. It looks a little bit better. Also, I don't know why there's so many saw blades at the top when they're not needed at all, because there's actually a lot of objects up here that you don't even see, so that could help with optimization. Also, maybe think about changing the ground color and just the ground in general. Like, maybe the ground can just be like this plain ground and also change it to like this black. That looks a tiny bit better. Also, like what we saw in the first level, we could also add like the little round glow like that. Just to, like sort of spice it up just a little bit. Also, some particles could also help. Also, particles are found in the saws tab. There are these little dots right here. As you can see, they rotate. I have my own custom object for particles, so that's what I keep using for that. That looks slightly better. Also, for this pre-job, I recommend you darken the background by quite a bit to just make like colors pop. That also maybe change the. Actually, I think the background's actually fine. Maybe you could use this one. But I think that the background's fine. Okay, now to finish this off, let's just look at some of the upsides of this level. So, for one, the gameplay, I've heard, is actually not the worst thing in the world. And the gameplay seems actually pretty intuitive and consistent, unlike some of the other 9 circles levels. Also, this little, like, intermission segment right here, is a pretty cool change up. Like the background changes to white. I'm a big fan of that. The designs are fine, but this is just a personal preference. I don't like these like little spiky blocks that much. Also, one more thing on like to change it up slightly. You could add more of these tinted blocks or these gradient blocks on the wave as well. Also, make them. You can also, like, at the top, make them black, just to give it a bit more atmosphere, and also, like, extend it upwards, so so it doesn't just cut off right there. But I think you get what I mean. Okay, I think that's it for that. Okay, that ends this episode of the review series. Thank you for watching. Sorry I haven't been putting these out recently. I've just been more busy with creating and all of that stuff. But in the description and in a pinned comment, there is the level review form. So if you want me to review your levels in the future, you can submit your level in the form. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.